Peace to the family. Peace, y'all. Peace, peace, peace. Peace, love, and light. Peace to the family. Peace to the family. Peace, y'all. Welcome back, y'all. Peace. Y'all know we couldn't let the day go without paying tribute to the king. You know what I'm saying? And that's the brother MJ. I got a story to tell. Yeah, I got a story to tell. You feel me? Pertaining to MJ, and it's gonna tie everything else together. Yes, salute, peace. It's gonna tie everything together. I'll touch on all points. Shout out to all of the Virgos. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to everybody that is born in the season of Virgo. Shout out to my brother Black Dot. Let me start with that. All right, Black Dot. His born day was yesterday as well. Salute to the Virgos. I have nothing but positive experiences with Virgos. And they have really, really played major roles in my life in terms of transformation. Right? Virgos have always assisted in leveling me up. I am very much indebted to the beauty of the Virgo and what they represent. Very, very interesting, not only interesting times that we're in, but, you know, these past few days have been very key, very integral, very interesting. So we're going to touch on some things, and we'll bring it full circle. But yes, today is MJ Day. Long live the king. All right? With no MJ, there will be none of this. There will be none of this. There will be none of me. And then there will be none of the community. Because in the year 2001, matter of fact, to be exact, 2001, I was operating a newspaper called Four Corners. I started at that job September 2001. All right? I started September... this probably had to be like 9/9 because I saw my man JP September the 3rd at the Labor Day parade in Brooklyn, New York. And he had the paper that... He had the newspaper had started for a month already. Now, the way that I knew about the paper is that he initially had the meeting about the paper, the ideation session that they held to create the whole concept for the paper. We had allowed them to do that at a venue that we were working at the time, which was, I was working with Mike Tyson at Iron Mike Management, Iron Mike and his sister Jackie Rowe. So we had a penthouse downtown Brooklyn at 80 Willoughby Street in Metro Tech, what's now Metro Tech in Brooklyn. We had a penthouse out there. Mike's office was a penthouse. It was, a double-decker. And my cousin Hardbottoms, Will I Am, he was like, yo, my man need to have a meeting somewhere, that looks high-end. So we got them, we was able to allow them to have the meeting in the office. And I was overhearing what was being said about they wanted to make a hip-hop newspaper, the first of its kind. And I was like, shit, I'm a journalist. Like, I went to school for journalism. I went to college. I went to Brooklyn College and studied journalism. 1995. I graduated in 94. I graduated in August of 1994, and I went to college in September 1994. And I graduated from Midwood, and Brooklyn College was right across the street. And I didn't have the grades to get in Brooklyn College, but my essay that I wrote about why I should be accepted to the school, they said that the writing was so exceptional, I got in on the essay. I didn't get in on my grades. Because Midwood was the fourth high school that I went to, and but it was the one that I was able to graduate. And it's the school that I always wanted to go to from the beginning. I got kicked out of every other school and ultimately ended up in the school that I wanted to go to. And I went to summer school, and I graduated, and I was able to go to college 2 weeks after I graduated, and I went to Brooklyn College, and I took a journalism. So by the time I meet JP and he's having a meeting in the office, they talking about a hip-hop newspaper. And I was like, yo, I'm a journalist. You know what I'm saying? So when you start that, holla at me, because I want to write. I always wanted to become a journalist to interview Nas. That's why I wanted to become a journalist. That's the main reason that I got into journalism, because I used to read every hip-hop magazine as a child to learn more about my favorite artist, which was Nas. I always wanted to know how he thought and what his process was about how he created rhymes. I wanted to read about the formula, and I wanted to read about the thought process and what he actually, quote-unquote, believes, because I didn't know. He never was clear about it on his. I wanted to also know, was he, what was his spiritual beliefs? Was he? And I found out, and I'll share that with you later. But I'm working at the newspaper, so I see him again in September. He got the newspaper going, so I made good on my promise, and I came and wrote for the newspaper in September. Just so happened I get there right around September 11th. Just so happens after I'm there and I get things going, right? JP brings an article to me. He's like, yo, somebody submitted this piece of writing from a brother named Black Dot. I need you to read it, and if you approve of it, then we'll bring him on staff. I wasn't even like 3 sentences into the submission, and I was like, yo, he's in. You feel me? Like, make sure that you hire him and get him right now. Then he brought Black Dot on staff. Me and Black Dot have a conversation after me and him get cool, right? And I'm like, yo, Dot, I've been going to these lectures with these elders in the community, right? A guy named Dr. Phil Valentine, you feel me? He's been talking about all of this metaphysical stuff. He's like, I know who Valentine is. I watched the tapes. I've been to lectures too, right? So I was like, yo, Valentine was saying that the elders don't want this information to die with them. They want to pass it on to the youth. You know what I'm saying? But he was sounding real stressed about it because at that time, I was the only youth going to lectures. I was the only one in the building under the age of 40. So I proposed with Black Dot at the time that we start bringing in Valentine to do lectures in front of a younger audience, a hip-hop audience. And we were going to use the vehicle of Four Corners to promote these events and to promote this information that the master teachers was teaching us, because we felt that our people can gravitate to it if we put it and we couched it in the culture of hip-hop. And then, next thing you know, he's introduced to Shabazz. Shabazz has the direct contacts, and Shabazz sells the VHS and the DVDs downtown Brooklyn, Fulton Avenue and DeKalb. Shabazz was Godbody. Shabazz had a direct connection to Valentine, so Shabazz puts it together. My man Chris, or we call him Christ, he came in with the finances, and then we put the first lecture together. I was in the background. I was still working with Mike Tyson and Jackie Rowe. I was still writing for the newspaper, and I still had a foot in the street. You know what I'm saying? So I was in the cut. I wasn't the face of anything, but I was in the background putting things, making sure people were introduced. I was connecting the dots. Exactly what I do to this day. So they put the first lecture together and they become known as the Metaphysical Underground or the Dark Matter Think Tank. You know what I'm saying? And then everything gets put into motion. This is when the legendary LIU lecture series starts. And from the LIU lecture series builds out something called a conscious community of what we know today. The latest iteration of it, the rebranding of it, where it is specific, couched in hip-hop and in the social media age. Not to take away anything that the elders did prior to that. But, consciousness post 2K is what was started based on my relationship with this brother right here. And the plan that we put in motion in the year of 2001. You feel me? When the Metaphysical Underground was formed. And our lecture series and LIU started popping off and we started bringing in Dr. Phil Valentine, Bobby Hemmett, and Delbert Blair. Okay? Now, in my personal life, which is not on the scene, right, Dr. Sabi's in town because I forgot what client he had, but Michael Jackson was in town as well. So this was all around September 2001. Around September 11th, all of this is going on. Michael Jackson just did a concert at Madison Square Garden the weekend before that. Sabi was in town at a hotel in Manhattan. My mother was with him, so I'm going to see them both at the same time. I already told you about my court case on September 10th and how that demonstration changes everything and formulates who I am in terms of my perspective of understanding, the way that this corporation actually operates. The things that was being told to me about the Matrix, I'm proving to myself that they're actually true. And it's shattering my perspective of the falsehood, of the lie. And I'm developing a new consciousness. But while I'm doing this, I'm building a world around me to encompass this new reality that I'm experiencing by myself. Because I ain't had nobody to talk to. Wasn't nobody there. You know what I'm saying? So I called Black Dot on his birthday yesterday after experiencing InvestFest and seeing 20,000 people pack that room out. And I'm like, yo, yeah, shout out to the Pope. You feel me? I'm like, yo, experiencing what I experienced, because a lot of people got complaints and stuff about what happened and what didn't happen. I know I had the best event, one of the best weekends of my life. I can only speak for myself, my team, and the people that was in my orbit, in my vicinity. Like, that shit was a magical experience. You know what I'm saying? This team right here, I'll show you them right now. This whole team right here, this whole team held it down, and we made magic at that InvestFest. You know what I'm saying? We had a high level healing booth, and it was nothing minus that. You know what I'm saying? It was the highest vibration, the highest concentration of positivity that anybody could muster up, and you can't fake that. You know what I'm saying? The level of what we brought to that building, you can't fake that. You know what I'm saying? You got to stand on that 10 toes and be like, this is the volume, this is the level that we do business at. So I know the big homies in the situation right now where people are saying this, that, and the other, but I'm like, yo, the work is what speaks for itself. The proof is in the pudding. Like, everybody has redemptive qualities based on whatever they go through. I don't know yay or nay about what's going on. You feel me? I can only speak to the fact that, when we showed up at a high level. You know what I'm saying? And that has been a continuous observation of the level of branding that we have been able to demonstrate. You know what I'm saying? When all of the pieces come together. And it's like every other experience that I've had in this community, I'm not responsible, you feel me, necessarily for what people that I stand next to, that I stand with, what they do or what they're responsible for. But when, I vouch for the fact that when we come together and when we do magic, you feel me, like, you got to look at the magic. You know what I'm saying? You got to look at the results of what the magic is. And when I'm able to do business with this individual, we're able to perform magic. We're able to perform transformative, high-level healing. We're able to demonstrate what melanated excellence looks like. We're able to do it in an integral fashion, right? We're able to do it from the level of A to Z, where you could check all the boxes. We're able to do it in public demonstratively, where you can look at it from the front, from the back, side to side, inside out, and upside down. Instead of you speculating about what you hear on the internet, you can actually come and physically observe these things in real time. You could also participate in the experience, and you damn sure can ask the thousands of people who could vouch for their own experiences. Right? So the demonstratable experiences that are being offered at events like this, these are the situations that people who are in doubt about what they think people stand for, these are the situations they should come and stand next to individuals to see what the resonant frequency is. Because you don't know anyone until you know someone. And these are one of those rare opportunities. These are one of those rare events where you're going to get to know as much of a person as you have access to know them. Because some of these people you'll never come into contact with. Some of these people you'll never get that close to, right? Some of these people you can never observe from your physical eye at a distance where they're right in front of you, to see exactly how they move, to see exactly how they do business. These are exactly what their energy signature is. You know what I'm saying? Seeing is believing. But you can't see things through through the blue light. Feel me? You can't see things through the blue light and expect that what you're seeing is reality. But you know what I'm saying? Like I said, you can't fake high level healing. You know what I'm saying? It's either you got it or you don't. You can't fake high level business. You can't fake high level demonstrations. So what we were able to exhibit in real time in InvestFest, it stands the test of time. It lives forever in people's memory, and it was high level. Let me give you a clip.
Peace, family. Peace to you and yours, Brother Blue Paul, live and direct to you. We are here at the Goldwater booth at InvestFest 2023 on day 3. It's about to be the finale, okay? But it's not all said and done. You can tap in with us after the fact and come check out Goldwater wherever you are at. We are online and we ship globally. GOLDEWATER.com. We have the highest end healing products in the world. Starting with our flagship product, which is Goldwater, which is particles of gold suspended in ionized water. It's gold in water. What does it do? Gives you energy, gives you clarity, gives you focus, hormonal balance, and it also taps you into the winner circle. So make sure that you tap in. Goldwater. Invest in your cells, invest in yourself, invest in your health, and you invest in your wealth. Peace.
Hold on. I got something for you.
Family, peace to you and yours, Brother Blue Paul, live and direct to you. We are here at the Goldwater booth. Here we go. Of course, we the source. Here it is. Of course, we are back in the building. We got Nate with us. He holding it down on the register, doing the damn thing. Let me bring you through real quick and just show you some of the upgrades. We got the grass wall. We got the grassy lawn. You know what I'm saying? And you know, these are real money plans. This is fortune and prosperity. You know what I'm saying? Bringing in the prosperity, making sure that we create a feng shui environment in this booth. Come on now. You know, welcome to our retail space. This is Crown Town. It's not Pound Town. It goes down. You know, and I'm gonna tell it on surround sound. So here we got the gold wall. You know, just look at the ambiance, the beauty of it all. Feel me? We got our nice scoreboard shelving, our spiritual packs, you know. Got the whole Crown Society situation over here. We'll be doing high-level conversations from the stage a little later. And again, man, it's a beautiful ambiance. It's a family affair. We invite you to come down. Don't stop and stare. Come in and, you know, share your sentiments with the family. We are here, booth 411. Come and find out what's going on. We really got it going on. Peace. I wanted to do a little back. I think that's fine. We can look. You know, just look at the ambiance, the beauty of it all. Feel me? We got our nice scoreboard shelving, our spiritual packs, you know. Got the whole Crown Society situation over here. We'll be doing high-level conversations from the stage a little later. And again, man, it's a beautiful ambiance. It's a family affair. We invite you to come down. Don't stop and stare. Come in and, you know, share your sentiments with the family. We are here, booth 411. Come and find out what's going on. We really got it going on. Peace. I wanted to do a little back. I think that's fine. We can look. Conversations from the stage a little later. And again, man, it's a beautiful ambiance. It's a family affair. We invite you to come down. Don't stop and stare. Come in and, you know, share your sentiments with the family. We are here, booth 411. Come and find out what's going on. We really got it going on. Peace. I wanted to do a little back. I think that's fine. We can look. You know, share your sentiments with the family. We are here, booth 411. Come and find out what's going on. We really got it going on. Peace. I wanted to do a little back. I think that's fine. We can look. We really got it going on. Peace. I wanted to do a little back. I think that's fine. We can look. I wanted to do a little back. Yeah, y'all. Got Booty in the house. Really giving retail an amazing look. Amazingly beautiful look. You know, this is what retail's supposed to look like. Broadcasting today, so got the sound system put together. You know, perfect coordination, high level.
Lita. Yes. Everyone, listen up.
That's right.
One thing I know for sure, cold water is the cure.
There it is. That's the drop right there. That part. All of this, that's right. All of this is based on life, y'all. These retail, understand that. Why is it such a retail? There you go. Leif Shalom. Good brother. There you go, Pops. Understand that this brand has been built on life, not on death. You know what I'm saying? Please understand that. Why is this so celebrated? Because we are celebrating life, not death. Tap in. Yeah, y'all.
So let me set the optics up for you. You know what I'm saying? Right across from us was the Trap House Museum. You feel me? Right across from us, directly next to us, was the Trap House Museum. And that's what was being celebrated. We were standing on life. You know what I'm saying? Explaining to people that the best investment that you can make is in yourself, is in your cells, is in your health. You You know what I'm saying? You can't put that before wealth because that's where true wealth is at. Wealth is the ability for you to properly, right, utilize your resources exponentially, for you to get the most return on your investment. You feel me? And for you to scale that return. And the only way that you can do that, all of that's talking about energy. That's talking about synergy. That's talking about energy, right? So I want to go back and I want to talk about MJ and the impact that he had. You know, I was writing the newspaper and, my whole career catapulted into doing video journalism at the time. And I caught the wave right when social media came, when we picked up the camera and we started doing live interviews of the ones that I used to do just with the microphone and the voice recorder for the newspaper. So I became a videographer, and I became a video star on cable network on a show called Street Knowledge TV. And we were able to put that on YouTube on January 1st, 2007 when we opened our account. And we had 1 million views by the time 2008 rolled around. And then I had to leave Harlem because I had a fight with 12 police outside of the Apollo. They was trying to put me in the Eric Garner chokehold to kill me, and they couldn't do it. I embarrassed them. So I couldn't play the block anymore in Harlem because I used to hustle in front of the Apollo, right, and run it up. So the block was hot, and we had to find something new to do. Me and my business partner, Majesty, Red was still across the street with Sarnetta, where they normally be at. They was good, right? So we end up going downtown to Times Square and linking up with a brother named Bang Out, who was a producer who just won a Grammy for producing one of them joints on 50 Cent album, right? Bang Out introduces us to his man who he said need camera work, his man named Johnny Shipes. Johnny Shipes hired us to do camera work for Johnny Shipes' artist, and that artist happened to be Nipsey Hussle, right? When we started doing camera work for Nipsey, they believed in us, and they wanted to get a budget so we could shoot his documentary. So we had to convince the record label to open up a budget for Nipsey. And this is when we went to Sony Epic and became the first ever, right? The first ever, not the first company, but the first ever office in the record industry called Online Media. And that was Street Knowledge. We partnered, right? Because we didn't, they wasn't our boss. Okay? It was a collaborative project with us and Epic. We were partnering with them. Even though they gave us office space and everything in the building, I used to have a executive suite corner office on the 21st floor. Now, I'm saying this to say I'm up at Epic with an office suite running the Nipsey project in charge of Online Media. We had Sean Kingston as a client and also Young Berg at the time. But this is when Young Berg first got into his controversy. We ain't want to have nothing to do with Young Berg. He said this was his darky controversy. When he said the darky statement, this is when we got his account, and I was like, nah, I don't want him. And Sean Kingston was getting robbed and shit too much. It was like, can't work with Sean Kingston either. It's like, we just gonna work with Nipsey. You know what I'm saying? And we convinced Sony Epic to bring us on once we showed them the analytics from YouTube. They didn't understand the internet or online media. We had to convince them that this meant that there was value involved. They didn't know the internet at all. They didn't know nothing about WorldStar. They didn't know none of that stuff because it didn't matter to them because you wasn't making no money on it. So if they can't turn it into $1, it don't make sense to them, and they're not interested. They was like, what the fuck what is views? I had to explain this to them. And once I explained it and convinced it to them, then they partnered with us. And they paid us what we needed to get the job done. And once we got the job done, ironically, right, around that time, because we had already done 3 episodes or 3 different parts of the documentary season called Turned Up. The documentary series called Turned Up, and that was for Nipsey Hussle. We shot it in the 60s, right? And never before had anybody been allowed to shoot in the 60s. But we had Big U on our staff. You feel me? So it was seamless. So we had already shot the documentaries, and they were supposed to renew the contract. And then the contract was up in negotiations because they didn't know whether they was going to go forward with Nipsey as an artist, because when he put out his single, Hustle in the House, it didn't do as well on LA radio as they expected. They weren't able to get it to BDS and get it some decent amount of spins. He was up against Drake at this time when Drake was just coming out. This was 2008, right? So his numbers wasn't matching. Nothing was converting at BDS. And then LAPD was telling the venues that they couldn't book him to perform because he had gang ties and he has an injunction on him. So he couldn't even travel to certain parts of the city to perform his music, and the LA radio wouldn't play it because he was affiliated. So Epic was going to shelf him. So they didn't want to renew our budget. So we was in a twist already. And then, to top it all off, on August 28th, or 29th, should I say, 2009, I'm home, ironically, because I just went to see Transformers the night before. This was Transformer 2, right? Transformer 2 was the fall of the angels, or the fallen ones. I knew that they was talking about the Archangel Michael in this movie because they was in Kemet and they had to start Pixie Dust. Anytime you got a cat in Kemet and start Pixie Dust, nigga, I'm thinking, remember the time. I'm making a correlation to Michael Jackson automatically. I don't need your permission. You feel me? I'm doing that for myself because I know what that means. Hold on, let me get some light out here. Yeah. So, ironically, on the one day that I choose to be home from work, I'm looking at TV and they say, breaking news, we got a report out of LA that there was an emergency call that came from Michael Jackson's crib. And I'm like, whoa, wait, what? So for this long day, I'm sitting there going through the stress factor of hearing them speculate about what could possibly be going on with Mike. And then by the time it was like 5:30, that's when the call officially was made. And it was like, we're sorry to report that Michael Jackson has made transition at the age of 50. And they didn't waste no time. They started going in on him. They was going in on him already while they were speculating. They were saying all of the terrible shit about him. You know what I'm saying? And not putting no level of respect on his name that he deserved for the icon that he still was. When he died, they started throwing dirt. They started kicking dirt on him immediately. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, damn, yo, I'm not just going to sit here and just watch them tarnish a person that I consider to have been one of my favorite artists, a catalyst to a lot of change that I experienced in my life. You know, I could tell you the longer form version of the story at some point. But it was like, yo, I had called my brother and them, and I was like, meet me at Central Park at the Obelisk. There's a Tekken in the back of the museum, the Metropolitan Museum, called Cleopatra's Needle that came from Kemet. It's part of a twin set. The other twin is in London, right? It's either the one in London or the one in St. Peter's Basilica in Rome. But nonetheless, thank you, baby. Yeah, I wanted y'all to see the God, you know. Nonetheless, we met up at the Obelisk. It was a few of us. And on the way there, I had wrote 2 pieces of poetry because I wanted to do something in dedication to him. I was really inquiring, you know, we brought offerings and everything to the ancestors just to speak on his behalf as witnesses, as, you know, people who have benefited from this man and his contribution. I don't know what his walk was in life. I know that he was a archangel, and I had already read a old mythical tale out of Coptic Ethiopia about an angel named Michael who had 4 brothers. And the picture that they have in the book of Michael in his Ethiopian Coptic book, it looks like the picture of Michael Jackson when he took his mugshot. And they said that this individual named Michael will be loved and hated and loved again. So I always looked at him in his mythical sense. I never looked at him as a regular man. I looked at him as a mythos. He was fulfilling a prophecy. He was Michael the Archangel. He was the first transformer that even before he transformed from black to white or from masculine to feminine, he was Captain EO. He was the first transformer in the movies. So he was already the template and the archetype for transformer. And then he transformed in real life. So he is the prototypical archetype for the Archangel Michael, who becomes what? The patron of children. Saint Michael is the patron saint of children. He's also the one that's in charge and over military and police. His number is he's represented by the octagon or the 8-pointed star. Hence the fact that the police wear what? They wear the caps with the 8-pointed star in it. And if anybody knows patrolmen or B cops, you know that they all have a placard or a laminated card of the Archangel Michael with them at all times. Right? You also know, if you've been to police, that is your patron saint, because they have iconography tied directly to y'all, and y'all do one of his prayers. So, hence the fact when you used to see Michael Jackson, and he would be leading military everywhere that he went around the globe. When you see Michael Jackson in his drip, was his drip not military gear? Am I making this up? Does any of this register? You feel me? Do you know that the number 50 denotes what? Military, like Sevon Bowman said the other night about Marduk, right? Represents 50. It represents Canaan. It represents the dog. He was changing into the wolf in Thriller. Oh. He changed into the werewolf. Feel me? I've seen him change into Dobermans before. Who cloned MJ? Facts. So, you know, MJ wasn't just no regular shit. That wasn't no regular nigga. He represented the number 5 in so many ways. Even with his outro record, This Is It, it was shaped as a pentagram. Remember the 5-pointed star that he was making on the This Is It album? He died at the age of 50. He comes from the Jackson 5. He represents Marduk. He's the Archangel. So if you ever seen Transformer 2, right, of the Fallen one or the Fallen whatever, that movie was about Michael Jackson. It came out the day before he got assassinated. They got the Pixie Stardust in the movie. They got the Cat and Kemet. They got the pyramids. It's the whole Remember the Times theme. And they got the hip hop robots, the nigger bots. Right? The shit almost, they remind you they should have been in The Wiz or some shit like that. So, the ritualistic manner in which, you know, MJ was taken up out of here, and then I've seen plenty of documentaries afterward. You know, he was on dope in the day and he was on dope at night. Like, the amount of dope that he was getting pumped through him, just one day of that could knock any regular person out. He was doing 2 different series of it. This nigga was, his God status, like, what the hell, he had the energetic potentiality to ultimately do with his full assignment. The ultimate fear that they had, that they knew that they had to destroy this man because he had too much power, was insurmountable. That one person could take so much dope and still he was still going to practice functioning every day. He was still, and he been on dope since he got burnt from the Pepsi commercial. So think about the unprecedented resilience of these entities that are not necessarily mere mortals. You feel me? But they command the motherfucking the sway of multi-millions. Like, Jesus didn't have that at his time. Right? We love to deify people who have had major impact and influences on people's lives. But all of this shit is not created equal. So MJ is very much, you know what I'm saying, one of those individuals, you know, we can't discredit the power of music. We can't discredit the power of the level of influence that he had on people's emotional body. You know what I'm saying? He was born on the 29th. This is also the anniversary of Katrina, because 29 represents the elemental mineral number of copper, right? Hence the fact that the majority of these hurricanes that you've seen occurring in or around these times are impacting, you know, melanated people in a particular way and really impacting the women in these regions, or are named after women such as Katrina. 29 is the critical degree in cosmology. You feel me? It's always activated and done this thing during these particular periods in time. It lands on these days, on MJ's day, right? When the saints come marching in, right? That's all MJ energy. You feel me? When the saints come marching in. I think even MJ's Super Bowl shit ties into this. If my dude Carlo was in the chat, I'm sure that he could help me with that. Shout out to Holistic Heights, born on this day as well. Yesterday was the coronation of the king. That was the day that Chadwick Boseman made transition. You feel me? That was the day that Chadwick Boseman made transition. In my life, it was very instrumental. It was one of the days that I had an incident in New York. I did a lecture right here on 44th and Broadway, August 28th of last year, in preparation for a lecture I was about to do later that day called Time, right? With A.A. Rashid, where I was breaking the code on time utilizing the law of 44. Before I did that, after I finished my sermon, my Pope Pablo sermon, I ran down on the Catholic Church, the biggest one in the city, which is St. Patrick's Cathedral, and I had an incident there, right, where they did not want to let me in. You feel me? And I rightfully told them what the fate of that. Like, you don't know who I am to shut me down. I'm the God. I'm the Pope. Like, stop playing games. You can't make that judgment call based on speculation of someone's, you know what I'm saying? This is supposed to be a house open to the public. You force your religion on my people, but now you're telling me that the doors to your house of worship is closed to any and everybody based on your discretion. That's not how the arrangement was set up. So you are in fault because you know not what you do. You done played yourself. And I was like, your retribution ain't gonna take no time. And I walked up out of there. And then that was, what happened that day. In a little while right after I left, the shit got shot up. You know what I'm saying? And it's nothing like that ever happens, especially in a city like New York. This literally is the Vatican. It's where they operate and rule this country from. It's only two dioceses that they use to run the country, and it's the one in New York and the one in New Orleans, because that's the one that ties them into Roman civic law by way of Napoleon connection. So, yeah, that happened that day. I said it on live. I'm like, yo, it's not going to even be 24 hours. They're going to have to pay for this, right? Don't play with the Pope. Y'all might be up here thinking this shit is a joke. Don't play with the Pope, right? I'm doing this from the most heartfelt space possible. So, bullets fly outside of New York's St. Patrick's Cathedral during a card game, or what they call the dice game. So, I was already on alert about dice games when I heard about Takeoff. And I was talking about Takeoff leading up until Takeoff when I was like, yo, something's going to happen on Halloween. There will be blood. I've been saying that for the longest. So, the 28 registers, Chadwick Boseman's who we call the Thrice King. He was a king 3 times, right? He's been King T'Challa, And he died in King T'Challa. So he was the rebirth of King T'Challa twice, right? He had got snapped by Thanos and died and came back to life in Avengers as T'Challa too. T'Challa had been dead a few times, right? He played James Brown, King of Soul. You feel me? And he just had a very kingly demeanor. And I think he also played Jehudi or something in the Gods of Egypt. He was one of them as well, right? And then he came back as, I think, in the Five Blood. It's a lot of different examples we got, y'all. Trust me, right? This brother carried the Thrice King energy, and he represented the coronation of the king because he's a cosmic king. He's the Black Panther. You know what I'm saying? He's King T'Challa. You know, he could never be replaced. They can't even replace him. The whole motherfucking, the whole universe is going to fall apart because his absence. He had that much of an impact even in the fictional realm. That's how much of a king he was in real life. He died in the regalest of manners and did not overstress the people. He made a sacrifice. And this is right coming out of Leo season when I was telling people that there will be after the jubilee of our people being freed up after 400 years in August of 2019. That's technically when we crossed the 400-year barrier, and now we're in the jubilee period, which was the period of 2020. Even though the world was falling to chaos, niggas was partying, and they was enjoying themselves and getting PPP loans. And then some of the people had the best life ever that year. And colonizers was apologizing and kissing feet and washing toes. You feel me? And then the year after Jubilee comes the year of the coronation of the king. And that's when Chadwick transitions, right? That day, that year, right at that point in time, a day before the born day of the king. You know what I'm saying? The king of kings, MJ, the king of pop. You know? So, saying all that, I used to walk by his plaques in the Epic office. It goes. It's a plaque for Thriller that just goes forever. And shit was like 36 platinum. And the case just goes forever. And I would be walking by that plaque or that case, and I'd be like, damn, yo, if they could do this to MJ, like, what will my future in this building be? I was always skeptical about what my future was, because shit was kind of getting iffy up there. So when they was killing him in the press and we made our way to Central Park, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, I had wrote 2 pieces on the way. I want to share with y'all one of these pieces, you know what I'm saying, that I wrote in dedication to MJ that day. And I performed it at the obelisk in the presence of our ancestors. We made offerings, and we were just asking them, to allow us to speak on behalf of this man's spirit. If any witness, if any testimonial could be entered into the record on his behalf, so be it. If not, if his fate is sealed, then so be it as well. We just want to send him well wishes. And this is what I wrote.
To say that I'm a product of my environment is an understatement. This ideology of moral poverty has overcome a nation. But to the dismay of Satan, we done with hating. Back to loving life. Life too bright to be bubbling white. Yes, my president is black, but is the government right is what we debating. I disengaged from this craze, got MJ's whole catalog on rotation. Let the angels sing that the king has gained his wings. And as you assume your throne, let it be known that you are not alone. James Brown is at the gates ready to welcome you home. Aaliyah singing backup, Pop's drafting raps up. Barry White is singing baritone. Coltrane's on the saxophone. Langston's crafting poems. Richard's got jokes to make you crack up in laughter. Christopher's chilling with Jackie Wilson, hitting hella spliffs, no asthma. There's billions in attendance to hear Ella Fitz like the songstress and Fifth Elements. Lady sings the blues, but nothing devilish. All original cuts, no sampling. Gold mansions as far as the eye can see. Some small, others as large as the Taj Mahal. Single occupancy with plaques on every inch of the wall. Rooms with piles of Grammys, but front doors left unlocked to let the neighbors in. Out back by the pool, Miles and Sammy, the Davises, as Cole Lampin, sipping on their favorite. This is heaven at its finest. Michael takes his right place beside your highness. Gabriel on the left. Frankie Lyman and Phyllis Hyman singing hymns in a cathedral's choir. Sorry, Elvis couldn't join us. He's beneath the Gaia, tap dancing in blue suede shoes, trying to freeze the fire, trying to eat the liar. The eternal price for fronting. There's only one life, one love, so there can only be one king. Long live the king. Continue to rise in power. To the Archangel Michael Jackson.
Jackson, anyone, Tyson, licensed, yeah. Jordan, Jackson, yeah. So I wrote two of them joints for him that night, and I performed it, and Red was there with me. And he could attest that there was a castle in the foreground that never has anything going on. But that night they were playing MJ music and they had a party there. And, you know, I went there and I performed some pieces there as well. And that was the night that when I left, I asked the ancestors, I said, how would I know if my offering for MJ has been accepted? How would I know that if he got to safe passage home back to the ancestors? They said, come back a year from now. And when I went back the year from that day that I performed that poem, that's when I seen the mothership. And the mothership stayed with me from 2:30 a.m. to 6:30 a.m. And this is well documented. And like I said, nigga, if I was a motherfucking Kappa, don't you think niggas would have been popped up to expose my lying ass by now? With all this shit that I'm talking? Right? I'm telling you real motherfucking deal. And every single day of the summer of 2010, the mothership was following me everywhere that I went. And you can ask Mansa, Cheyenne, you can ask A.A. Rashid, you can ask Harbottom Bill, you can ask Filth, and it's a bunch of other people who bore witness to that in the summer or the year of 2010 and beyond, because they still pop up. Anybody who has been on any trip with us to Mount Shasta got a story to tell. And I'll be headed to Shasta on Wednesday, so shit, we'll bring back more stories for people that are doubting their own greatness. You know what I'm saying? This the magic. You know, this the magic. Don't you see all white everywhere? Because I see all white everywhere, goddammit. I see all white everywhere. So, I'm saying all that to say that I left, right? I left Epic, and I didn't waste no time. I went straight back to Harlem, right? The next day. You can find me at the Apollo, and I never left. I brought back everything that I learned in the industry and in media, and I shared it with Red, and he shared it with Sarnetta. And two things came out of that. Know the Ledge TV and Sarnetta TV. And I feel, once again, I was able to still come up to speed in the modern era and play my part with seeding the social media version now of the conscious community. Because those was the first channels. And then in January of 2010, then we start Blog Talk. And that becomes the epicenter of the dissemination of conscious information around the globe, not just the nation. Not just the nation. And then today, here we are at the highest level. Hold on. Let me remind you where all of this shit comes from. You know, I'm just giving you an idea just of the fullness of the circle. So when you see me celebrating it, you're like, yo, okay, that's what's going on. I get it. Let me not interrupt that. Well deserving.
Here we go.
And I'm celebrating.
Sauce, here it is.
I'm taking it all in. 'Cause I get to play at the highest level. on these stages
Of
with
course,
my
we are
baby.
back in the building.
My
We got
baby with me now.
They with us. She holding it down on the register, doing the damn thing.
She a Virgo.
Let me
Shout out
bring
to
you
the
through real
Virgos.
quick and just show you some of the upgrades.
Feel me? Yeah.
Got the grass wall, got the
Apollo
grassy
kids,
lawn.
my
You
nigga.
know what I'm saying? And you know, these are real money plans. This is fortune and prosperity. You know what I'm saying? Bringing in the prosperity, making sure that we create a feng shui environment in this booth. Come on now. Welcome to our retail space. This is Crown Town. It's not Pound Town. It goes down, down. You know what I'm
Round
telling you?
town, it's not pound town. It's crown town, it's not pound town. It goes down, down. You're going to hear about it. You know? Then I got to see this young man right here. Right? That's KT performing. This is about 11 years ago here in Atlanta. Yesterday, 11 years ago, during Black Dot's birthday weekend down here in Atlanta when we was performing our album or our hits that we had made at that time. You know what I mean? And fast forward today, you know what I'm saying? And this young man he's his own superstar. He's his own, for lack of a better word, you know, celebrity. And I use that word only to mean that he's being celebrated. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes when it's worth it, we got to get out of the way just of the semantics to be like, oh, that's a bad word. No, when it's utilized in the right way and you've really earned it and you're responsible enough to cater to it without it going to your head, without it spinning you, you know what I'm saying? That's a beautiful thing to see people who are worthy of being celebrated for good work. You know what I'm saying? Again, my mother's like, y'all built this on life. Y'all didn't even build this on death. You know what I'm saying? Like, all of this that you're building is based on light and life. You feel me? There's no negative elements involved whatsoever. So that within itself, you know, should be celebrated. It should be acknowledged. I know that I'm honored to be a part of it. You know what I'm saying? So we got a high-level, high-end demonstration coming for you as well. And let me give you this commercial. Oh, damn. Where the audio at? No audio? I don't know what's going on with the audio, but I'll post it. Me and Red shot a podcast today called Blurred Lines. That we're popping off this new podcast, and the shit is dynamic. It's news, right? It's a news program in a new format. You know what I'm saying? It's a news format in new form. It's a news program that's in new format that's very exciting and engaging. You know what I mean? We got it mathematically down to time, so it's not long-winded. You feel me? But it's jam-packed with information. And we got our brother Source God as the moderator, balancing out the pills. It's called Blurred Line. That's a combination of blue and red. Blurred, right? And me and him are blurs. We're black nerds. You feel me? We black nerds, you know. We're representing for the black nerds. Shout out to y'all. So yeah, man. Again, if it wasn't for MJ, a lot of this probably wouldn't have been possible. You know what I'm saying? At least in my life, he was a catalyst for a lot of my change. When I was 13 and I was struggling with whether to go to religion to look for identity, right? Because I had never really been to church up until that point. But all of my friends was going to church and I felt left out, right? That whole social conditioning thing. I was coming under peer pressure to go to church. And I didn't want to really go if I wasn't really into it, if I wasn't really looking for something, and I felt that there was something there that was for me, because my folks told me that there was nothing there for me. But that's where all of my friends was going. That's where the social circle was. And then I heard Michael Jackson sing a song called Man in the Mirror. And it was a eureka moment for me because I had to have a conversation with myself in the mirror about my own self-discovery, and myself assured myself that what I was looking for in myself cannot be found at church. And the song also said that it was within you. So then he gave me the courage as the catalyst to look within and to be comfortable enough with myself to say everything that I need, I have access to. It's within me. My journey is to go within. That might be a lifelong journey, but I should never look outside of myself. I should not go into institutions to find myself. You know what I'm saying? Especially as my primary source. It could sit like after I had got some things established on my own and I went into these public institutions, I was able to bounce what I knew about me off of the shit that they was telling me about some nigga named Jesus. But I could prove my shit to myself without bringing it to the rest of the world, attempting to sell them a care package that I'm the second coming or something. Well, I'm just like, nah, I can identify this story about this journey because I have an identical one that I can relate to as personable. You feel me? So, yeah, man, MJ, you know, with all of that saying, I'm telling you that I have a compassionate, deep honor, reverence, love, and respect for who he is, even in his pain body, right? I'm talking about the good, bad, ugly, and indifferent parts of him. I have to be accepting of his whole being. As a Scorpio, I understand he's an archangel. There's dark parts of him, you know what I'm saying, that I wouldn't dare shine light on, right? But I know that the pain is there because I can hear it, I can feel it, I can see it, I can sense it. You dig what I'm saying? And that has been his whole story. His pain has been so extreme that, again, like I said, he was able to cycle 2 different dosages of dope, a daily cycle and a night cycle, and either one of them would have killed the average person just after one day. And he's been doing this since he got burnt. So, judge ye not. I would not dare. I don't know. I couldn't even imagine what he going through, what he went through, what he was going through to judge him. Couldn't do that. So he also rescued me from the prison of judgment because I wasn't willing to participate in the judgment thing that was going on with him. Because I noticed that nobody ever asked him, was he abused? Nobody ever asked him, was he, played with or some shit like that? Where has he learned these activities and things from? No one even fucking cared enough. And I seen them stop caring for this man, and that's when I stopped caring about them. He's tied into my whole story. I was able to observe reality, right? Not vicariously living through him, but my observation about how they was treating someone who I considered to be great, who changed my life. Not that nigga that you was talking about on Sunday in Sunday school. He didn't save me from myself. Right? And what I'm saying is that your head got one idea about where you going, nigga, and your feet got another fucking idea about where you going, and your feet might be the shit to start following when your head is the leader, but the shit might be taking too long coming up with the thought about how they gonna put the plan and the play together, because you convincing yourself, yeah, my shit gonna kick in 5 years. Your now self want to be in the mix. So that shit is like, I want to be around the crowd. I want to see what the happenings are. Nigga, I'm still a sponge. I'm still soaking shit up. I'm still using my ocular lens and activating my mirror neurons to motherfucking get this template, to get this motion down, nigga. And you like, wait, let me plot, plan, and strategize. Your logic is kicking in. And then you battling with your upper and your lower. So what I'm saying is that he gave me the courage to stick with my upper self, to be awkward enough to be like, I'm not following what the fuck y'all doing. And I'm going to be singularly awkward enough to just have me as enough. Talk to myself. If they call me crazy, so what? I come up with the best ideas to myself. I have the best conversations with myself. Now I get to share them with the rest of the world. That's a caveat. But I've been talking to myself all my life. And it's been enough. Until recently, because now it's just too much shit going on. And I'm seeing and I'm thinking, yo, maybe I could help somebody if they would only listen, because I ain't been wrong yet. Or else I wouldn't be here. So, and I would have not been able to build the things that I have built that I will never get credit for. You know what I'm saying? And I will not reap the financial benefits or gains necessarily from. If people are looking to itemize, they like, damn, where's your $1 trillion? Where's your billions? That's like asking the niggas who build hip hop where their billions is at. You're not going to see that. And you're not going to see it here either. Not in this respect. I'll create it in my own regards. You feel me? Because we have the power, the potential, and the access to do so. And I still gain $1 billion. What the fuck is the $1 billion? Like, that's a freestyle idea. I was meeting people at the festival. Check this shit out. I met people at InvestFest who had 3-year-old businesses that were top-tier businesses that got them booths in positions to speak at. They started businesses off of some shit that I said on live. Maybe I was just freestyling it at that time at that. Okay? Because sometimes a lot of this shit is spontaneous and I get downloads and I start freestyling. And somebody considered it a good enough idea that they took the shit and moved with it, and they've been in business for 3+ years. And I met like 4 people like that. And that was just this weekend. Nigga, I meet people all around the world who have not only changed their own personal lives, the direction of their lives and people around their lives, but the businesses. The businesses, the concrete businesses, the brick and mortars, the clothing lines, you know what I'm saying? The physical products, the juices. I was the first person in this community to bottle up sea moss into a juice in 2009, September 14th. November 14th for my birthday. At a Dr. Sebi lecture, which also happened to be the very first place that Polite was introduced to the community. At a King Simon event, November 14th, 2009. That same magical year that I'm speaking about with Michael Jackson, when Michael Jackson makes transition. You know what I'm saying? That was the pivotal year. That is the year to set the template for what ultimately becomes the conscious community. Because if I did not leave Epic Records and go back to Harlem, right, the day after Mike died, that's when I show, once again, I show Red how to set up YouTube. Red shows Sarnetta, and the rest is history. Then we create Sarnetta. He creates Sarnetta TV. We create Know the Ledge TV. And then consciousness has officially entered the social media age and era. And then all of the rest of the stuff that you know about branches out from that. You feel me? So I want to respect Michael Jackson as a catalyst of change. And his example was not flawless. It was chipped up for a reason, for a purpose, because you have to be exposed to the good, bad, ugly, and indifferent, because the decisions that you have to make are not only singular. You don't only face them from the front. Sometimes the shit is things that are coming from the side or from behind you. So you have to have a myriad of examples to know how to navigate, because the terrain is not just one way. The terrain is not one lane. Yeah, that part. The terrain is not just one lane. So shout out to everybody, and again, this is not to undermine any accusations that was levied against him about children. Michael is the patron saint of children. You know what I'm saying? We should be more adamant about being patron saintage of children, protecting children. That just means, that you are the highest level of protectorate when it comes to children. We should be more conscientious about that rather than disproving whether he was or wasn't, because somebody needs to fill that slot up. Somebody needs to be, all eyes on these children. Somebody needs to be heartfelt and compassionate. Shout out to my brother Shaka Bars and other people who are, 10 toes on the ground, actively, physically, dealing with these children, interceding on their behalf, getting between, the predators of our babies. You feel me? Because any one of them can have MJ potential, MJ magic in them. You know what I'm saying? We're throwing away too much wealth. We're squandering too much wealth. Right? The way that we, close the wealth gap, the way that we exponentially, make quantum leaps, is that we slow down enough to invest in our children, and we form a protectorate. We should not even be looking out anymore. We have enough children that we should turn around and look inward, form a circle around our children, create a children's city, and just work for them. They are the future anyway. Why even waste time? What is your old ass doing that you think that is so rewarding that you should still be doing it for the next 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 20, or 30 years, that it's going to bring you exponential worth, value, and preparation from the future? We should be focusing on the babies now because they're smarter, younger, and they're ready to go, and they all need our help. So we need to form a battalion of humans and people that are out of work, that don't got gigs, that are adults, that love children, right? The AI gonna put your ass through a motherfucking series of questions and logistical tests to see whether you a weirdo or not. Your ass gonna go through an AI lie detector, and them shits is the best in the fucking universe at this point. And when you pass with flying colors and you're able to come into the city, we should just be focusing on children's ideas, children's downloads, children's perspective, children's thought processes. The wealth is with the children. That's the biggest secret. It's not with us old niggas. We're walking libraries, but those libraries have to be digitized at this point. We live in the future. The future is the children, though. If we're in the Aquarian age, it's not your old ass, nigga. You are not the Aquarian. The virtual Aquarian is the baby, of which the baby is going to be the last man standing in the next generation, because they're going to be up against cyborgs, AI, transhumans, and fucking aliens. Nigga, so at most is one generation left that their future is not guaranteed. They have to qualify for that future, which means they have to be prepared for war now. Let's just say economic war. Let's say a war against ignorance. Let's say a war against intolerance. Let's say a war against encroachment on traditionalism because of this war that they're having on woke. Nigga, what if that spills into what we deal with in terms of consciousness? Did you ever think that fucking fall into the play? So yeah, man, I think this is enough. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want to be lecturing and shit. I just want to, this day is very important to me. You know what I'm saying? This day is very important to me. And who MJ is and what he stood for is very important. And again, I feel that there's more emphasis that's being lent to whether he abused children or not, rather than somebody picking up the baton to say, well, who else is protecting children? Who else is providing for children? Who else is putting on for the children? Who else is talking about the children? Who else got love for the children? Who's the patrons say to these babies? Because these babies is the future. The baby is the wealth. How are we going to be talking about bread and money and all of that shit, and the emphasis is not on the babies? They inherit the wealth, and they are the wealth because they are the ones that have to carry the baton and the torch into the future. Their ideas, they have to be prepared for the cyber world. They got to be prepared for virtual. They got to be prepared for digital. They got to be prepared for metaverse. They got to be prepared for NFTs, coins, and tokens. They got to be prepared for the shift. They got to be prepared for BRICS. How we just going to lead this shit to them? And you don't know what the next play is. You don't know how much time you got to freely move around and deal with our children in a capacity that's still suffering from the first C-19 wave because of isolation and because of the social program that's going on. You think they could deal with part 2? You can't deal with part 2. It's not guaranteed. You don't know what's coming. So let's stop playing these games, y'all. Like the children need to be more so. They need our energy. They need our attention. They need our focus. They are our treasures. They are the wisest ones right now. They're getting clear downloads. They're computers. They're retrofitted to compete with AI. Their seed already knows, it's already seeded with the intelligence to know that they will be having to, traverse quantum realms, quantum computers. You know what I'm saying? ChatGPT 10.0. Like, by the time they're 20 or 30, technically, where do you think the computer age is going to be? They already are programmed with this reality. Just like the baby girl will have all of the eggs that she needs. Right? They got the information already in them. And you might think that your direction and your navigation might be one thing to lead you one place, and they might have a whole different idea. Now we going into the mountains. We're not going near the ocean. Now we ain't buying property over there, Dad. You know what I'm saying? You need to be in the valley as opposed to in the hill there. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to listen to them. You got to trust in these children. You got to get in contact with these babies. You know, they are the shorthand radios. Real fucking talk, man. So shout out to MJ. Thank you for what you've done for me. You know what I'm saying? I'll never forget. I'll never judge you and shit. You know what I mean? I don't have no right to. You've given me too much. And if I give that back, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to be at a deficit. So, yo, thank you. You know what I mean? And thank y'all. And I appreciate you. Go play some MJ and shit, man. Lighten the spirit up. You know what I mean? Let his soul moonwalk. Peace.